All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is you're listening to this podcast. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff as we have our midweek show. Expect Matt to be jumping on here at any moment. And in the meantime, want to make sure that you subscribe, make sure you hit the like, make sure you comment below, let us know your thoughts, and we'll be sure to comment on them, any questions you may have on a future video as well. But make sure you subscribe. We're really trying to build a channel here, like I mentioned before, and we need your help to do that. So really would appreciate it if you give it a sub, and thanks so much in advance for that. All right, so look, folks, I gave you my post-game reaction from the Cleveland game, my sentiments and my thoughts haven't really changed at all. Quite honestly, I think I let you know how I was feeling after watching that game. Wasn't really impressed much at all, and was really concerned, more or less, more than anything else, about the fact that you let a team as bad as the Cleveland Browns come into your stadium and give you a very, very tight game after you have a bye week and just got your butts whooped by Tampa Bay the week before. This team is, I mentioned the word painful to watch, and it is. Yeah, they made a couple big plays. The A.J. Brown came back and had a big game, which we expect. And of course, same thing with Devontae, had a nice 40-something yard touchdown reception. And Hurts overall played one of his better games this year. But again, it's the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to go crazy over barely beating the Browns at home. And then you had all the escapades with Sirriani, which I didn't really touch on much. Really wanted to wait until midweek to hear his reasoning for it. All the media we knew was going to be all over it, and obviously get Matt's thoughts on it as well. So, with that being said, I also wanted to obviously preview the Giants game today. So we're going to obviously getting to that as well. So, lots to discuss, lots to talk about. And until Matt joins us, which I would expect him to here at some point, I guess it'll just be me for a bit. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, also welcome the listeners out there on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple, and so forth. Thank you for tuning in as always. All right, we got Matt that finally has jumped on here, so let's there you are.
You know what? I'm gonna go sans glasses. Yeah, my Wi-Fi was having trouble, so finally.
Oh, was it okay?
Here.
That's all right. I figured I'd start the show, and I knew you'd be popping in, so really was just getting through my recap of my post game that I gave, and just kind of saying that my thoughts haven't changed much at all. I'm not sure if you listened to my post game or not, but I'll let you go fresh out and ask you just real quick before we get into all this other stuff to talk about this week, which is a lot going on across the league with the Eagles and obviously talk about the Giants. Your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns game, because the audience has yet to hear from you. So what are your thoughts on that Cleveland Browns game?
Well, number one, thank God A.J. Brown's back. Number two, the game wasn't as close as the score ended up being. I mean, Saquon Barkley with the bonehead run out of bounds before you get the first down was a brain fart. Like, what are you doing? And I believe that was the same drive that led to the field goal block, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So you take away that, you give the first down to Barkley, the field goal doesn't get blocked, most likely, and all of a sudden the Browns are out of it before we get into the second half. So I'm not too worried about that. The defense still is a work in progress, but at least you saw no turnovers on the offense, right? So, okay, you can win games in the NFL if you don't turn the ball over.
And they might have lost that game if Hurts turned it over again.
Big time. Yep. And if they did, then I think people may have been fired if they turned the ball over and lost. Like, that's how critical it was to play a clean game. Now, that's about it that I got to say about.
All right, before you, let me just give you my spin on the game. Yours is a little bit more optimistic than mine was. Me, I just was like, look, you just came off. You had a whole 2 weeks off, right? Coming off a bye week. You're at home. You just got your asses handed to you by Tampa Bay before the bye. You're playing a lousy Cleveland Browns team, and you barely eke out a win at home. I have major concerns about that. And remember, we both had our predictions. Yours was almost dead on about the game. So congrats on your prediction, your scoring position. I had the Eagles scoring a little bit more, but almost was dead on with the Browns score as well. So we had the Browns really pinned as far as how many points they'd have. I expected, this is I guess where I'm coming from, the Eagles to score more points in this game because again, at home, 2 weeks to think about the lousy Browns, and they again don't score in the first quarter, which to me, I have major concerns about that even more as weeks go on. Because think about this, right? And I'm not on this fire Siriani bandwagon. I'm not on that. There's a growing faction in Eagle fans that seem to want him fired. I'm not there. But where does coaching come into play, right? When are the scripted plays in play? First quarter, right? So all season long, when you have your game plan and scripted plays before you have to make adjustments and everything else, the Eagles have scored 0 points the entire season.
Burn up the script, man. If you're a head coach, you're like, the critical thing I would want to see is, all right, it's like Mr. Mom when he's air drying his kids' butts in the bathroom. And years ago, if you haven't seen the movie, it's like, all right, would you forget the paper? Just forget the paper. Let's forget it. So just forget it. Forget the script. Let's just go into the next game and just call it organically, and let's see what happens, because their first quarter scripts, like you just said, don't work. Like whatever pharmacist is prescribing you that, you don't go to them anymore. So stop it. Try anything else would be better.
Yeah. I guess my point is, though, that is when the coaching happens, right? That's when you're game planning. That's when Kellen Moore is supposed to come in here and bring all these great ideas and offense and Sirianni. And that's when the brain trust gets in and formulates a game plan. And they haven't scored a single point the whole season in the first quarter. That to me is a red flag on this team. And I agree with you. They need to do something different, clearly. But to me, it's like, really makes me think about this coaching staff, because it's not like they're played all these great dominant defenses either, and they're not scoring.
It's weird. It's definitely in the weird category. So let's see how the rest of the season plays out.
With this kind of offense, that's the thing. It's not like they have a bunch of schmucks out there.
Right. One last note.
I know they haven't had that AJ Brown the last couple of weeks, but they have everyone else, and they have loaded on offense, even without AJ.
One little nugget to add to the game is Calcaterra finally had a decent game. Really, and that guy, everyone's like, what would we do if Goddard can't play? And I'm like, Calcaterra could definitely, he's faster than Goddard, and the boy can catch it. And his whole problem has been staying healthy, right? So
staying healthy, and the biggest difference with him and Goddard, where the main drop off is blocking. They use Goddard a lot in the run game and pass blocking, and that's where the biggest drop off is, because he can't block nearly as well as Goddard. So that's where the drop off is. But yeah, in terms of hands, and he's quicker than Goddard. Like, he's faster than Goddard is.
Yeah.
And he had a big game. It was good to see. Like, I think the last big game he had was the one we were at in Washington. I think that was his last time he had a really big game like this.
Yeah. So coming out of the Browns game, the biggest concern is Jordan Mailata, because the Giants defense is no joke. Like, they just held the Bengals to under 20 points.
They lead the NFL in sacks.
Yeah. So that's a big problem.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the injuries. So we'll definitely talk about that. No question. Yeah.
It's setting up for a huge game. I'm glad this game is relevant, that we have competition in the NFC East again. But the Giants are no joke. So
no, you can't overlook the Giants after the way you just played at home Alpha Bye against Cleveland.
No, going to be a tough game. And if the Eagles don't show up and improve from what we've seen so far, they'll probably lose.
That's not a good. That's not
disheartening.
The other overall kind of picture that I had that I talked about in the post game was that after watching that game again, and obviously throughout this course of this season so far, the Eagles, in my opinion, are much closer to the team that ended last year than what started last year. They look so much like the team the last 7 games last year where they couldn't beat anybody. with a team that has this much offense. You could put their offensive roster against any team in the league and either be as good or better than any of them. And this team is painful. I use the word painful to watch execute offense.
Yeah. Well, because they're not executing offense. They're getting
exactly. But
yeah. So
bad teams at home after 2 weeks of planning and game planning. So yeah, I'm definitely much more of have a negative. I wish I didn't, but it's just I'm not seeing any improvement on the team. Now, I did see, with that being said, there were some positives. A.J. Brown, you expect him to be great because he is great. Had another awesome game. It was a great play with Devontae Smith on his 40-something yard.
It's a great play call too, right? So
it was. And they're going to run more of that.
Is there. So you're just wondering, why does it have this weirdness behind it?
Why does it take 3 quarters to figure this out? That wasn't an initial game plan.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. Who knows?
Yeah. So, so offensively, before those plays happen, they're just, they went 3 and out twice. Remember I said that's like the worst they could do in this game?
Yeah.
Just come out at home after a bye week against Cleveland and go 3 and out twice. And what did I say would happen? They would get booed, and they were getting booed.
Yeah.
And
and that became the story, right? That became the story of the week. It was Sirriani versus the fans.
Right.
Why are we talking about?
We're going to get into that too. We're definitely going to, because I want to hear your thoughts on that whole thing. All right. So anything else before we leave the Browns game you want to talk about? I mean, we're going to get into the injuries. Anything else I did thumbs up and thumbs down. I'm trying to remember what my thumbs up were. I mean, obviously A.J. Brown was one. I thought that, by the way, this was my biggest takeaway in that game because I expect A.J. Brown to be great. I thought Cooper DeJean was awesome. I thought he played for his first start. I thought he played really good. What are your thoughts? You agree there?
I think he filled the role that we all were
expecting
Vic Fangio to use him in. And I think he's just going to get better and better. And he played great. He played well enough for his first game.
And they blitzed him a lot.
Quentin Mitchell keeps getting better and should have had an interception if CJ was paying a little bit more attention to what's happening.
He was pissed. Mitchell was pissed at CJ.
He should have been, because that was Mitchell's ball. And you wouldn't ever picture Dawkins slamming into the cornerback. He would have paid attention to that and stayed back and looked for the tip or the pass or the tackle. And so CJ's just got to be a little bit smarter and have some situational awareness there. So Quentin should have had a pick, and he would have been running with it. He would have been away from that receiver coming back, and CJ would have been there to block for him, and who knows what would have happened. But
Mitchell's been great. We got a good.
We expect out of a high round draft pick at cornerback, and he's going to be a golden.
I was going to say since Eric Allen, but we don't have to go that far back. This is This is since we didn't draft him. I'm talking about like draft picks since Lito and Sheldon Brown. We finally have drafted a really good starting cornerback. I think.
Yeah. Yep.
He's money. And then Cooper too. Cooper's a D-back guy too. So those two guys, especially Mitchell. Cooper, we need to see more of, but good start for Cooper though. I thought Cooper, he covered well. He plays aggressive. I love how he tackles. He seems to be a really solid tackler, and he blitzed a lot. Like they used him a lot.
And I think Sidney Brown, once he's back, is going to be another type of piece like that. I think you'll see safety blitzes and stuff. And Brown, he's a sure tackler too. So it's like, I can't wait to see him come back and be on the field. That'll help out a lot. Plus, those are the future, right? Those are the guys. Like to watch Quentin be so pissed off that he didn't get the interception. Like that's the emotion that's been lacking.
Veteran too. Yeah, it's not like he's like he had no qualms about calling out the veteran. Like, what the hell are you doing?
No, and another thing so that defensive secondary, that's where the emotional leadership is on the defense. Keely Ringo laying out
a hit.
That hit was one of the better hits I've seen.
Man, did he pulverize that guy? I'm
totally legal. And you could hear that from outside the stadium. You could hear that hit. So
that's a corner snotting somebody like that.
Yeah. So there's some.
And of course, one of my thumbs down, by the way, because it's related to this play, was Nakobe Dean. Yeah. Another horrendous performance by Nakobe Dean. On that play that we're talking about, Nakobe Dean had the guy dead in his tracks, but he's like reaching out, trying to grab onto him and short him. I'm like, man, this guy. I'm about to say I was 100% wrong about.
You can be. There are guys like Sam Mills and other players in history that have been short-armed, but there's something about them where they're just stronger or can move through blocks, and Dean has to run around them. And just watching his short arms try to just get something on, I'm like, oh man, yeah, I'm like, he's got to start watching tape about the shorter guys that have played that position, because he's like, he's in the category of like Mark Semino right now. Like, I don't know who's better or worse.
I think Semino better. I mean, I don't even think he's as good as Semino.
I don't think so either. And like, we didn't really like Semino out there. Now, we grew up watching this play, but
I'm just really disappointed because I had really high hopes for him. I mean, and the more I watch him play, I'm like, I don't think he's got it.
No,
maybe he'll still surprise, but
TJ
man, I really don't think so anymore.
Last week for the Bears, TJ Edwards punches out another fumble, causes a turnover, and I'm like, man, if there was one guy we could have paid to stay, it's him. And since we don't have him, I'm at the point where I'm like, I would sit Nakobe Dean, and I would love to see Bond, Trotter Jr., and what's the Van
Sumeren.
Van Sumeren. Yeah. Put those three guys out there. If they're a little bit slower than Nakobe, it doesn't matter. At least they can tackle the guys when they're in close proximity.
I'm really starting to get, I'm really starting to just want Nakobe off the field. That's what I've really come a full total 360 on him.
Let him play
which sucks because let
him play special teams.
I thought that the Eagles got something with him, but yeah, I agree. I think it's time to put him on the bench because that one play just to me signifies Nakobe Dean right now.
Yeah.
You just can't. The play's right there for your middle linebacker to stop that play right there in its tracks. He couldn't do it. He ends up running around for another 8 yards before freaking.
Yep. And now it's
absolutely killed the guy practically.
More and more tape is out there on him, so it's only going to get worse.
Exactly. They're just going to attack him all the time. Yep. All right. So, yeah. So I did thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you have anyone else you want to kind of highlight other than the ones we named? Because those are my thumbs up, thumbs down guys.
Well, either thumbs up, we're all on that defensive secondary. Thumbs up for defensive line. They got 4 sacks. Watson's not the easiest guy to sack, even though the Browns O-line is not all that great.
Yeah, he's slippery. Yeah.
And the Browns are a struggling offense, but if they're going to beat the Giants, they're going to have to get pressure on Jones. It's going to be horrible to watch. Well, I'll save that. So thumbs down. The game plan, like how do you, like you said, how do you not score points in the first quarter? And then how do you keep the Cleveland Browns close and in the game? Like, it's just, there's something awful going on. And I haven't been riding the fire Sirianni train either, but it's becoming more obvious that there is a weird thing happening in and around the locker room where I'm like, if somebody needs to go and we have any hopes of trying to win and compete this season, it can't be the talent on offense. We've got that covered. Yeah. We were excited about Kellen Moore coming in here, and we knew
really done much. This offense looks a lot other than the motion that they run, before the snap. I don't see a heck of a lot of difference between this offense and last year's.
No, so which is one of two things: either Hurts can't run that Kellen Moore offense, so they're sticking to.
Is that the issue? Yeah.
Maybe Sirianni's trying to protect his quarterback, which is only going to kill him in the end.
That could be.
But, it's like we said a couple weeks ago, it's going to be Sirianni that falls on the sword regardless after all this is said and done. So, they need to do something, and they need to do it now. And they cannot waste this year's talent on offense and let this year go by not being able to score points. It's when you have Sam Darnold out there and some of these guys that are touchdowns a game. Yeah. Baker Mayfield is having like the year of his career. So it's like, how did this Super Bowl team, and you've seen the throws, Hurts made 2 of them the Brown, right over the shoulder, right on time. Let's go. So it's like, where's that every play? Can you just please run from under center so you can start doing play action, that used to be all of Kellen Moore's offense. I almost can't stand the tush push anymore, because it seems to me like that has removed all creativity from the rest of their play calling. They can't even figure out what to do on 3rd and 1 anymore. They can't figure out 3rd and short because all they're used to doing in short yardage is just tush pushing. So they can't fool anybody because they have no creativity.
Now they're just barely making it now, obviously. The defense is better at that. They're not going 3 yards every time anymore. I mean, there's one of them last game where Hurts barely got over. I mean, just barely.
So that's my thumbs down. It's on the offensive coaching staff. I think Vic Fangio has got the defense working about as good as it can be with the aging defensive line, right? And the thing is, if Jalen Carter decides to take a game off, that line has no push.
Yeah.
So it's almost 100% on Carter's shoulders.
I need to see more consistency out of 98 for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, how about that guy Aporo? Is that his name?
Yeah, he played a lot.
And he got a lot of pressure when he was in there.
Yeah, and I didn't see much
of Hooker at all. Did he even or Booker rather?
Did
he play at all in that game? Was he a healthy scratch?
Maybe he was out. Maybe he had an injury, or he was because I didn't see him on the field. No, and but good for Arturo, or what's his name?
Yeah, whatever.
The guy that's as young as Booker.
Yeah.
Plays. So they're deep at that defensive tackle position, but it just seems like unless they get some push from Carter, everything else just goes silent. And I'm disappointed in Josh Sweat. How can Sweat, who's half
get a sack?
How can he be half the age of Brandon Graham though, and not be having an impact where BG can still have an impact? So
I know
it's kind of weird.
I love that play where he's like, dude, that guy's getting the ball. He's getting the ball, and then he's the one that's not on him for like 5 yard loss. He's like pointing out that guy's getting it.
BG was talking shit as the Browns were even taking the field. Like,
oh, so you saw that video? I was going to send it to you.
I was like, hilarious.
Saying he was going to each one of them. You start with the guy on the left, then the guy next one.
He just kept talking. I was like, man, you guys better win.
I know. Yeah, he was talking smack to him big time. So, I love BG.
Thumbs up.
Love BG. All right, so let's get into the injuries. You mentioned Mailata. That's definitely the biggest one. I'm hearing, at least because he was on WIP, he said he only expects to miss a couple of games. Now, he could barely walk after that.
That may be true.
It's surprised if he's only going to miss 2 games, but that's what he said.
Yeah, I think hamstrings are different for power guys than they are for speed guys. So
yeah, that's true.
I think as an offensive lineman, he's got a lot. They just use their hammies differently. He injured it on the play that he was running, right? Wasn't it on the on the field goal block?
It might have been on that play.
It was that play, or if he was.
It was around that time, in the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure when he got injured, but
it tells you how much of an athlete that guy is. Because how many offensive linemen ever pull hamstrings? You never hear that injury.
Yeah.
Well, that guy, he's just one of a kind type athlete, former rugby player and everything. But that's a huge loss, and coming at the wrong time because the Giants, one thing they do very well is get to the quarterback.
Thibodeau, he's got that is a definite mismatch with our backup left.
Thibodeau's hurt though, so they're not going to worry about him. He's out.
Oh, he's hurt.
He's out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Defense is still nothing to laugh though. So,
because they got Burns and they got Williams. By the way, Williams, I looked at his stats today. The defensive tackle there. He's got 7 sacks already.
There you go.
As a defensive tackle.
Good test for Cam Jurgens and those. But, and Dickerson, our guards are pretty stout. So,
they shut him down last year. Or they shut him down. I mean, I didn't really count last year's game because, like I said, I looked at that as a scrimmage anyway, the second game. But when it really mattered in a game, they shut him down. If you remember the game we were at, remember the playoff game the year before?
Yeah, they did, but they didn't have a Brian Burns with him either.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. But now Kelsey was there, so obviously Kelsey did a lot of the work. So I mean, that remains to be seen. But yeah, he's having a great season. 7 sacks already as a defensive tackle. That is crazy.
Well, we're gonna need Carter to get 1 or 2.
Yeah, Carter's he did have 1 last week, I think. So he's got a sack now, I think, in the season. So the other injuries, hopefully Mailata is, and like you're saying, a guy in the offensive line is going to come back quicker than a wide receiver or running back's got a hamstring issue. So hopefully he's only going to be out for a couple weeks. To me, when I heard him say that, I thought he's going to be out at least a month. But thinking him back in a couple weeks, I think that's a good thing. And then Johnson his name's Johnson, right? Before I call him the wrong name again. Isn't that his name? Fred Johnson?
Fred Johnson, yeah, O-line. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of held his own against one of the best pass rushers in the league, when he had to come in after Mailata got hurt. he did pretty well against 95 there. So, of course, you'd think they would have blocked 95 on the extra, the field goal they were going for.
He just won. To be that big of a dude though, and leap over a guy clean like he
awesome. But he's done it before. That's why I'm like, guys, again, game planning, preparation. You got to expect him to do that.
No, and all you literally have to do is stand up.
Just stand up.
Totally F up him. He might even get like you'll be pancake flipping him as he tries to go
towards you over, but
stand up.
Up in the air that much. Yeah.
It's just
he's a great player. I mean, he's the closest thing that I've seen in terms of build, like a Reggie White that I've seen.
Yeah.
Reggie was still a little thicker than him, and Reggie wasn't jumping over linemen, but he just, like, the way he pass rushes and stuff, he's just a power speed guy. He could do it all.
Yeah. Imagine if he was on a team that could score points where they were holding leads of like a touchdown or more in the second half of games.
Right, where they can actually just let him go at the quarterback.
That'd be charts. Like he would have the season sack record in his sights if he was on an offensive team that can do that.
We're talking about Myles Garrett, for those of you wondering, because I don't think we mentioned his name. But so I mean, I guess that's it. We'll just move on from the Browns game.
We needed the win. We got it.
You need a win.
Move on. We got to beat the Giants.
Slay was also banged up. I'm hearing that he, kind of his knee went on him, but apparently he's going to be okay. And then Goddard's the other guy who's going to probably miss at least 1 week, maybe a couple as well. So Goddard also has a hamstring issue, and he got hurt on like the first or second play of the game.
Yeah.
He was out just the entire game practically.
Yeah. Let him rest up. Calcaterra, I would make Calcaterra a huge part of this game plan.
Yeah.
Dude can move down the middle, so just run these seam routes.
Yeah, especially if you can't keep him in the block. You might as well throw it to him.
Yeah, and just the old Madden football, that little dump pass over the line to the tight end. Or
use seam routes with him.
Just hike and just chuck it over the line. They're going to be worried about AJ and Smith on the outside. Just keep pumping that little 10-yard throw and let him run. Like,
I think what would work really well would be, especially against the Giants, when they're going to be keen on stopping Barkley, is some play action. Fake handoff to him and hit him over the seam. Hit Calcaterra up the middle over the seam.
It would work if they would stop doing it. It would work if they would stop doing it from the RPO, though.
I know.
Because the defenses have that figured out. They just tackle the running back regardless.
So, and Hurts is not getting that many gains off of that either. They're stuffing him.
They've got to start. They got to revision that and start under center and do some legit 3, 5, 7 step drops and go back to old school football and just run Barkley a lot until you got the team fooled with it, and then just you have your back heel hit and throw the ball. Like, you should know where you're going. And if Hurts isn't smart enough to do that, then what are we doing with this offense? Like, because the RPO thing that got us to the Super Bowl, that's figured out. It's been proven for the last 3 years.
The Eagles have to adjust, no doubt. All right, so that's it for injuries. So let's talk about Sirriani before we move on to the other news around the league. So now I'm hearing initially it looked really bad on TV, and probably still looks bad, even though what I'm about to say changes the perspective a little bit. But you can't get into verbal altercations with your own fans. So you're never going to win that battle. It's going to be your quickest ticket out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, not in Philly.
Yeah, just you're never, ever going to win that one. So, but what I did hear is that, I don't know if you heard of this. The fan actually wrote to the Eagles or made posts, the one that he got into it with, and said that he was all over Sirriani in the first series of downs when he ran Barkley and got 5 yards and then run it again. He said that he was all over Sirriani at the end of that play because they went 3 and out. And he was barking at, Sirriani said, run the ball, keep running the ball, like that type of thing. And Sirriani at that time, I guess, said something to him like, don't worry, you got it handled or something like that. And then he went, again. So this was in Sirianni's head. These guys are supposed to be coaching the game. At the end of the game, it meant so much to Sirianni to go back to that fan and start saying, oh, now, you happy we ran the ball? I told you we've nothing to worry about wherever we won. Whatever he said. But I'm like, dude, just what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's weird. I have it chalked up as things are weird in Philly at that head coach level. Hurts, the response is, oh, I'm trying to be enthusiastic and inspire my team, and that's not where I should spend my energy. And I'm like, none of that makes any sense to me at all. It's just silly and stupid. And if Howie and Lurie told him to apologize, then that's a stupid bullshit move too, because you just don't apologize in Philly. You don't have to apologize in Philly. If Nick wants to go back at that fan, okay, do it. You should be coaching instead and focus there, but I don't want you to apologize for it because Philly's raw, right? Like Philly's raw. Give us your raw emotion. That's fine. We can deal with it. We'll boo you. You can yell at us. That's fine. We'll move on to the Giants next Sunday. But this weird apology a day later just doesn't make sense to me. And it's not who. I don't know. It's just weird. Weird is the term I'll keep using. It's weird.
Yeah,
and
the whole Hurts and Sirianni relationship is weird too. Like you mentioned last podcast you were on last week about Hurts's press conference and how he just came out of the blue, wasn't asked about it at all, just said, yeah, Nick and I had some moments or something like that, special moments. Yeah, and he mentioned it like I had not seen it at the time, and I said it on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, okay, I didn't hear that. It's very interesting, but I'm used to Hurts talking kind of very vague like that all the time. But I did watch it, day or so afterwards, and I know exactly what you're talking about now because it wasn't just one time that Hurts said that. Like he said that a few times during that press conference about special moments, and because he was further pressed, I guess, about it. But he's just very super vague, and it just seems weird. Like you used the perfect word, weird. Like what the hell's going on?
It's weird. Like, can't we just have some straight talk here in Philly? Like, Philly is not. We don't deal well with like little white lies. Like, just give it to us straight and move on.
It's like, did that meeting happen organically, or a lot of people are speculating that Jeffrey Lurie said you two need to sit down and hammer things out.
He may have, and all due
respect, he has every right to do. I mean, he's the owner, but
and maybe
that's way, it's just not good if your quarterback and your head coach need to be told to sit down and talk to each other because there's that much issues going on. I don't see how one meeting is going to all of a sudden just rectify everything.
No, and like I said, ultimately it's the coach that's going to pay the price for that.
Oh yeah,
like it's also the coach's responsibility to find a way to communicate with the QB. So 100%. It's 100% on him. No matter what you think of your quarterback, and what doesn't matter what my opinion of Hurts is on whether or not he's able to communicate or not. It's like it's the coach's responsibility to use some emotional intelligence to find a way into Hurts's head and get on the same page. So we'll see what happens if they lose to the Giants, and if they lose miserably to the Giants. I think this is all going to keep stirring until something happens with the head coach position. I don't know who's to blame. We'll only find out after everything settles after the season. But if they come out and they can score in the first quarter and they can put pedal to the metal and just press the Giants into the ground, all of a sudden everything is fixed and we move on with the rest of the season and we reverse our.
It was one of the talk shows I was listening to, might have been today or yesterday, when Sirianni had his press conference when he did his apology or whatever, and he came out and plus I guess his new haircut has something to do with it too. And the guy's like, I see Sirianni, he looks like a prisoner of war during his press conference. I thought that was such a perfect analogy because
it is.
If you watch Sirianni's facial expression during that press conference, I think it was on Tuesday morning. That's exactly what he looked like. He looked like he was like behind bars and like someone was next to him, with a gun to his head.
Yeah, and he hasn't eaten in 3 days.
And he hasn't eaten in like 3 days, and he shaved his head.
So I don't know. It's just weird.
It's so awkward, weird.
It's gonna stay there until we win. We win in commanding fashion.
Right. And and I made that point too last week. I'm like, when was the last time this team with all this offensive weapons that so many other teams in this league would love to have that are blowing out teams? When was the last time we actually blew out a team?
Miami Dolphins last year.
Right. Last year. And that was about a year ago.
Yeah.
A whole year with this offense. We have not blown out a team. And here's again, Cleveland Browns, bad team, at home, off a bye week, after you just got your butts whipped, and you couldn't blow them out either. And I said, this is not a good team right now. It's not. It's more like the second half of last year than the first half. I don't think anyone can even dispute that. but that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I don't know. We need to win this weekend. Have to win this weekend.
Yeah, you got to beat teams you're supposed to beat.
It's making me think of Brian Regan. Would you consider this a must-win game? Yeah, it's a. We have our uniforms on. We must play, but you got to win.
No, we don't need to win this one. We got 3 games left. Doesn't mean we're not going to try. But
there ain't no more bye weeks. There ain't no more resetting. Like, they got to beat the Giants and then move on. And I don't care if it's a close game because the Giants are playing good football right now. So
yeah, they're better than last year, no question.
Just don't be stupid and make it a competitive game. It's just. You haven't mentioned your fantasy football team on this podcast, have you?
God, it's the only thing playing worse than the Eagles.
Oh yeah, I was like, the Eagles are close to that. If they lose against the Giants and have no forward momentum going, they're in for a long, long season.
I had to start Daniel Jones last week.
Wow. I'm only laughing because we're competitors in that league, and I feel for you, but on the inside, but on the exterior, I'm like, just stay at the bottom.
I'm even too embarrassed to even say what my record is right now.
Some people I'm not going to say either because it's that
2-4. What are you, 1-5? No, I am 0-6.
That's why this isn't a fantasy football podcast. It's a real football podcast.
I've never started 0 anything worse than 0-3 in my 20 years of playing fantasy football. My team's 0-6 and a horrible 0-6.
Yeah,
like you look at how many points out I'm from the top team. I'm already 200 points less than the top scoring team. There's 6 games into the season.
Yeah, that's the stat I checked this morning when I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, you're bad.
Horrible.
All right. Sorry, I digress.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on? Other than fantasy football?
No.
My team in my more expensive buy-in league is doing well. So
my question for you is how
to trudge through this horrible season in our league.
If you're a Vic Fangio,
by the way, I'm already eliminated from the playoffs.
I know. All right, refocus.
Unless an absolute miracle happens, like the top 4 teams all lose about 8 in a row, then I can get
6 in a row. Yeah.
According to the site, I'm already mathematically eliminated 6 weeks in the season. Yep, that's me. Anyway, what are you saying?
Focus on the Giants. If you're
before we get to the Giants, just some news around the league because some big trades have come.
Okay.
So Davante Adams to the Jets, which was long rumored to reunite Adams with Rodgers, which is probably 1 game too late. But again, the Jets, you just feel bad for the Jets. They should have beat the Bills the other night. Then their kicker just decides I can't make 38-yard field goals. Just the Jets, you gotta feel bad for. I actually do feel bad for Jets fans. I felt bad from last year when Aaron Rodgers, shortly after running out the American flag on Monday Night Football, runs 3 plays, is out for the season. And then this year, the Jets are they fired the coach already 5 weeks in the season. They should have won a game last week and still lost, figured out a way to lose. But anyway, they do get Davante Adams. So that's probably, in terms of fantasy football, that helps both guys.
But now what happens if you lose? Like, you just fired your coach. You got Davante Adams. You're offering Hassan Reddick a trade out of there.
Right.
Which,
by the way, glad you brought that up. So there's this, I don't know if you picked up on this, but they talked about this week, is that if there's also a bylaw, you know how they had like a conditional third round that could be a second round if he played like 70% of the plays this year for the Jets. Well, obviously that's not going to happen because he's already missed 6 games. So that they have no chance of getting a second round pick, except the other thing that was written in the trade clause, I guess, was if the Jets do trade him to an NFC team, the Eagles automatically get a second round pick.
Oh, okay.
So there's still a chance that the Eagles can get a second round pick from that trade. Otherwise, it's going to be a third round pick.
What if they trade him back to us? Do we get him and a second round pick?
They can't do that. There's a NFL rule that, there's a 2-year rule that you can't trade for the player that you traded to a team for 2 years. So that you can't do.
Good
I know.
Rule
I would have. I mean, speaking of Huff,
would be like, Howie's a genius.
Let me ask you this, because I bashed Huff again during my post game because I didn't see anything from him, but
He was
maybe
present.
a few times that I walked away from the TV and I was doing whatever. I might have missed something because some people were saying, "Oh, he played better. He actually got pressure and stuff." I didn't see it. Did you
Yeah,
see
more active,
stuff
more
from Huff
involved.
last week?
Yeah, he had a
Huh?
half a sack.
He did.
He got a half a sack recorded along with DeJean. So Cooper DeJean's first half sack came with Huff on the other end of that.
Okay, that's the one that everyone was saying that should have been Cooper's sack alone, but he kind of just ran into him or something.
Yeah,
Like he was going in on the blitz, but just kind of ran into the guy. I don't know. I don't know if I even saw that play.
he was there and was pressuring. So
All right.
he was at least sniffing the
So he at
quarterback.
least almost got the quarterback.
Yeah, he was active. He wasn't
All
as bad and wasn't. He was. You could see him making an impact on defense. Whereas the first 4 or 5 weeks, it was just like, where is he? What's he even doing?
That's good. That's good because I didn't totally bash him. I just said again, where's off 0. So I guess he was a little better than what I saw, but that's good. We'll take anything right now from Huff. It's a small step forward. I'll take it.
I would get rid of Kobe Dean and put Huff at middle linebacker.
What's that?
I would get rid of Dean and put Huff at middle linebacker.
I don't know if he could play middle linebacker.
I don't either.
I mean, probably play better than.
He's got some speed and he can hustle.
I don't know.
You just can't. He can't take on offense.
I just don't know how all of a sudden the guy can't get to the quarterback anymore. He played hardly any plays like he was only on third downs last year and had 10-something, 11 sacks, and now he can't suddenly even get to the quarterback when he's playing full time. I don't know what's going on here. The other big trade, which I thought this one was huge. Like the other one, who knows what the Jets can even save their season? Maybe they can. But I thought that the Bills getting Amari Cooper was a huge pickup.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it's funny because Devontae Adams' hamstring is magically going to heal in a week's time. And Cooper's drops are probably won't even see him drop another football. He leads the league in drops right now with 6.
He does, yeah.
And he probably won't drop another football.
He's always been the guy that's had the dropsies, but he's always been good too. He's always made big catches also. But he does have some drops every once in a while. And yeah, I didn't know that he was leading the league this year. But yeah, watch him up his game now for sure. Yeah. Oh, he's trying to say that he was kind of intentionally dropping to get traded?
Not intentionally, but he's not on the same page with Watson. There's always something that goes like when you're used to your quarterback and you're used to the velocity of when that ball is going to arrive, like it does play a game with these receivers that are so precise. And it seems like it's just weird. They're just off. They're off.
Well, I tell you what, that ball's going to be on Cooper quick now because there's not many quarterbacks that have as strong as arm as Josh Allen does. He could freaking take it. So
Watson can wing it though. I mean that pass that he dropped against the Eagles. Did you see that one? I mean, he should have caught it.
Yeah, he definitely should have caught that pass. That was right in his hands.
Twisting to try to catch it, and I'm like, what the heck?
Was that the one that went through his arms, hit him in the nuts?
No, not the one that hit his. No, it wasn't that one. It was the one that he was up and outstretched, and it kind of.
Okay.
And I'm like, a better quarterback puts that ball in stride, and he runs through it, and he's probably gone for a touchdown. But instead, he's up here doing acrobatics just to make what should have been an easy catch. So Cooper's going to take off, which is great for my fantasy team because he's Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. You must have loved that trade then.
I was offered a trade for him this week that included Christian McCaffrey, and I declined it.
Oh yeah, I was also offered McCaffrey. I declined it. Think about this. I declined it. I'm 0-6, and I declined it. They wanted AJ Brown. I'm not trading AJ Brown for McCaffrey, who I don't know if he's even going to play it down this year.
No, the word is he's got one Achilles tendon that's really bad, but his other one is
he's got 2 bad Achilles.
Yeah, you can't play with that.
He's got 2 bad ones.
No, and if they force him, he's going to rush
or anything. But you're a running back and you got 2 bad Achilles. You're not going to be the same. He might come back, but I don't think he's going to be the
painful
same
injury.
player.
That's a very painful.
Their backup's freaking kicking ass anyway. He's second in the league in rushing.
Yeah.
So they don't even really need to rush him back.
No Kyle Shanahan-led offense ever needs a number 1 all-star running back. You can grab anybody, and they're going to run for 1,000 yards. He's proven it wherever he's been. So
not that McCaffrey's not great. He is, but
he's great, but you don't need him.
Right? They clearly don't.
No. So what are you going to do to stop? All right. So those are the 2 big trades.
It's basically. I just want to do NFL news, and that was basically the
what's sad is it leaves the Raiders and the Browns with like nothing. Like they're like if you're a Browns fan and a Raiders fan, you've got to be like, all right.
Yeah, there's nothing to even go to games for.
Like, no, exactly. Like I guess we can just we're not even into the winter yet. So it's not even
like who's my running back that I've been banking on and I drafted there in a draft to take it, knowing he's going to hopefully come back before I'd have him for about most of the season. Chubb. Yeah. Now the whole NFL is going to be king on Chubb. He's not going to go anywhere.
No, he might be.
This is a disaster of a fantasy team for me.
They might let Chubb play a game to prove that he's back and then trade him too.
Well, maybe. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. So I didn't even mention this. Maybe I did in my post game, but now I'm going to just, again, getting back to the Browns game and how the Eagles could not just roll them over. They lost their starting running back first series and their starting center in that game early. Yeah. And they still couldn't steamroll that team.
Yeah. And the starting center was already a backup because the starter at the beginning of the season was already out. So you're on center number 3. And that's where I'm like, where's Jalen Carter? You're going against the center that is third string center.
They lost their starting running. Cooper's dropping balls. And I mean, yeah, they gave up 7 points on special teams, so maybe the score wasn't as close as it would have been. But still, you should have just dominated that team.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Giants. Turn the page.
So what are you doing to stop?
Let's do the Star Wars wipe if I had that technology.
What are you going to do to stop the Giants offense? That's what I want to know, because that's what's going to win this game.
Well, I think my first key to this game, and I think he's going to be back, is Neighbors. Like, Neighbors hasn't played the last couple of weeks because of his concussion, or at least 1 week. And he's just started practicing today. So I'm guessing that he's going to be back. I think the Eagles, not that you ever, hope. You want to beat teams at their best. Would have been a break, though, if the Eagles didn't have to worry about Neighbors. But Neighbors looks like he's going to be back. That's a guy that scares me for sure. He's really good. And I'm not really worried about their running game. I'm worried about Jones running the ball.
Yep.
That is always a concern because he always seems to have huge running games against the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And Neighbors on the outside. I think the Eagles need to, play disciplined defense, not give up big runs by Jones, and then contain Neighbors. You're not going to stop that guy. He's really that good. But, don't let him go off for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns or something like that.
No, and I don't think Slay can cover Neighbors. I think the best cornerback on right now is Mitchell.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know if Vic ever matches up his guys one-on-one or lets him shadow dudes, but if he has that in his plans, then it's got to be Quentin Mitchell and not Slay. Slay will get smoked by Neighbors.
Yeah, and Slayton's been kind of sneaky this year too. Slayton seems to be having a little resurgence.
Last couple of weeks, he's come on strong, and
he has. So we got to look out for him too.
No, and all of these Giants, Eagles.
I just key to the Eagles winning this game. I think they have to not get off the slow start again. I say this every week, and it just keeps happening. Come out there, get the opening drive and score. Just freaking do it. Can we do that? Is that impossible to do these days?
Yeah.
Can we get the ball, just go downfield and freaking score, please?
It's impossible. Until they do it, it's impossible.
So that's what I think. Get a lead early because that Giant team is, the morale of their fans and the team in general, the coaching staff, just get up on that team and they're done. They're not a team that's going to fight back and come back and win. I just don't see the Giants that. But if this game stays tight and the Eagles go out and go through the motions again and struggle and can't score in the first quarter, and this is another 13-10 game at halftime, then the Eagles can very well lose the game. So I think get off to a fast start for once, score, get up 10, 13-0, and I think they can put them away. They can actually probably put the Giants away.
I think the Giants will be in it the whole game long, even if we do get up by 10 or 13.
Yeah, you think they would fight back and come back?
Saying it, they are 100% behind Brian Daboll this season, and they will be motivated
to stop Barkley. So they have an extra motivation in this game to stop Barkley. So I get that. So maybe this is a game that they would, really kind of bring their best and stick it out the whole game. It's possible.
Well, I would love to see Barkley not run out of bounds when he can get a first down. That would be, let's start there with Mr. Barkley. It's, two big bonehead plays. The fumble that lost us the game against the Falcons, right? The drop pass.
Yep.
Not the fumble, but the drop pass. And then
that did cost. I mean, I don't really blame. There's a lot of things that happened in that game, but that's certainly one thing that if he caught that easy pass, Eagles win that game. And they have one less loss than they have now.
And that one's maybe not a bonehead. It's not a critical decision. Of course, he's wanting to try to catch it. But when he ran out of bounds on that play,
I don't know what he's
doing. Like, you didn't even get the first down. Like, I don't mind that you're going towards the sidelines, but you totally pulled the Jalen Reagor.
Make sure you get the first down.
Like, if that were Jalen Reagor, would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? And Barkley, you're like, oh, all right, we'll probably get it. But then we didn't get it. So it's like.
That's exactly what he did. He pulled the Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. That one.
Exactly
I'm hoping Barkley's head is in the game. I don't think the Eagles should be going into this hoping that they it might actually be useful because then they would just run Barkley. So if they want a revenge game, maybe this would unlock the Eagles offense when they figure out what they can do if they run Barkley 25 times. They're going to win if they do that. So go ahead, make it personal, give Barkley the ball and just ram it down their throats. I'm fine with watching
I think you got to run Barkley because that's one way to alleviate the pass rush that the Giants have. Just run it right at them.
Which they're going to need.
Right. Plus, they may not have as good a pass rush protection because there's no Mailata. So, again, more reason to run the ball or at least, use the pass off the run versus vice versa.
Yeah.
So, we want to get into keys of the game. I mean, you asked me, so those are mine. So, what yours are run the ball, I assume?
Well, run the ball. It's been my key to the game every week, and it will stay that way. As long as you paid Barkley to be here with this offensive line, then run the freaking ball. I want to see 20 to 25 carries for Barkley. Gainwell did get a couple touches last week, but
a good run. Gainwell had one good run.
Yeah. So
I still want to see Shipley. We still have barely ever seen that guy sniff the field.
Now, I think from the Eagles, and if Nakobe Dean's going to be on the field, I would make him a spy for Jones so that Jones doesn't sneak out on one of these special plays that he burns us. Since Dean can't really tackle anybody else, let's see if he can just focus on tackling Daniel Jones and just be ready for that.
Yeah, at least the Giants don't have any big bruiser backs. I mean, that game this year, because the Eagles do play Baltimore, don't they? Don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They play the Ravens week 10 or something.
They do.
Dude, Derrick Henry is going to run all over the Eagles team.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Nakobe Dean trying to tackle Derrick Henry?
We don't have to cross that bridge yet.
No, I know. But
so I think Neighbors and Brown will wash each other out. If Brown keeps up with Neighbors' scores, they're just a balance. So it's really making sure that Slayton and the tight end and the running back or Jones doesn't get some sneaky success somewhere. And if Neighbors and Brown wash out, the offensive weapons that are there for the Eagles should still carry them with enough points to beat the Giants. But that means, the other thing with the route that Smith scored on last week, it's the same thing that Goddard scored on.
Yeah, week before. Just going the opposite way.
Almost scored on, And there's just something that I'm like, the design of the play to force picks to get receivers open to me is just like bullshit football. Like, you have Devontae Smith. If he's got single coverage, then throw him the ball.
Yeah, he's going to beat his guy most of the time.
Yeah, and that's the difference between Aaron Rodgers and
right. They see somebody singled up, they're like, they know exactly where they're going.
Yeah, they're like, it doesn't matter. This will be a completion because if the cornerback's on the far side of my guy, I'm throwing it back shoulder, and if my guy's beyond them, we're going for a touchdown. And it's no more difficult than that. But it doesn't seem like Hurts can even play that game.
By the way, is it just ridiculous how, I don't know if I want to use fortunate or just, it's just, you just shake your head like how many times Aaron Rodgers has thrown Hail Mary touchdowns. It's amazing. He's done it 4 times where he's thrown a touchdown 70 yards in the air. And it's
one set of black gloves, Alan Lazar, and the ball goes right to those gloves. There's 20 other sets of hands in that picture, and the ball goes right. I'm like, holy shit, he caught it again.
That's crazy. So now, that just never happens. Maybe once, maybe twice in your entire career as a quarterback, you'll get lucky like that. He's done it 4 times.
4. He's done it 4 times. Yeah.
It's crazy. That was the 4th time. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know what the Eagles can't do. They can't do that. That's an interception whenever Hurts has to try to do that.
First of all, Hurts can't throw it 70 yards.
No. So I think the Eagles have enough offensive weapons. I think Calcaterra catches his touchdown this season.
Really?
I think he's going to break. I think they're going to hit him on a seam pass, and he's going to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they'll work the middle of the field. But
well, that would be a change.
Why aren't we seeing Barkley out in the middle routes? Like, why aren't they using the tight end?
A little come out of the back and just sit right there.
Yeah. Why aren't they doing like it seems to me like if you're, and maybe it's because, if Hurts is in the shotgun, he should be able to see that easy. He doesn't even have to I'm curious why.
For protection. I don't know. That's a
good
point. They never do it.
And they don't need to protect him though. Just
because that's a quick out. Quick hook pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would like to see some of that because I think that's where they can attack the Giants defense. And that way that kind of handles the edge rush that's going to be coming around whoever.
Right. They don't have a good secondary. So you just hope the Eagles are not game planning this week going all pass happy. Oh, they don't have a good secondary, so let's pass the whole game. Are they? I mean, yes, that's their weakness. They don't have a good secondary.
No, but they're gonna. You've seen the movie Dodgeball, right?
Yeah.
You know the quote from Ben Stiller, "I know you. Yeah. I know you know. I know you." I'm like, some of these stupid coaching decisions. I'm thinking like, stop trying to outsmart the other team, and just line up and play football. Like your guys are better, so just line up and play it. This should be like rudimentary football. Throw slants, throw screen passes, throw tight end dumps over the middle, and just mash them with the run game. Stop thinking so creatively here. Just go back to like 1986 football and pull out some plays from like the old, just pull something out from the
Giants. That's how they won their Super Bowl, and that's what they were. They were running
Giants, right?
Bill wasn't throwing the ball over the place. It was Joe Morris and Rodney Hampton
team routes. Yeah. Pull out the 86 Giants playbook and just execute that against them. That would be music to my ears, and we'll probably score 40 points if we do that. That's my game plan.
I'd love to see Barkley run all over him, though. It'd be great to see him have a 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns.
He should. There's no reason why he can't. But that's every week.
No, he should be motivated, too. I mean, Giants going to be motivated to stop him, and he's going to be motivated to play well.
Yeah. Barkley should have 85 yards rushing and a touchdown every single week. Anything less than that, you're not.
I agree. And he didn't do that last week.
Nope.
We got like 60-something yards.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Prediction. What's going to be the final score of the Giants-Eagles in New York?
So risky. It's so risky predicting any Eagles score at this point. Because you feel like they're like a shaken bottle of wine. Like the cork, once it pops, will probably be fine. But for some reason, the cork is just still stuck in the friggin' neck of the bottle, and the wine just oozes out. It's like that's
so frustrating to watch. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, so I'll go. I think this might be just a defensive battle again. I'm going to go 21-17. I'll stay low. I'll go with the Eagles ahead, 21-17.
Well, I learned from last week. I'm not going to look for an offensive explosion. So 21-17, you said?
Yep.
Eagles?
Eagles. Giants have got to be favored, right? What's the line on this? 3 to Giants?
I don't think they are. I don't know. It's a good question.
Eagles are overrated then. The Eagles were up by 8.
Real quick.
So the line last week was 8 with the Browns. I thought.
Give me a spread. Yeah, hang on. The Eagles are favored by 3.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think the Giants have the typical home field advantage at 3. So I would bet Giants if I'm everybody out there.
Yeah, I would take the Giants too with the spread. Felt getting.
Although you have the Eagles winning by 4. The score between 1-17 Eagles, which means
you have the Eagles winning by 4. So you have them covering.
I do have them covering, but
Yeah, you did.
I
So you just
don't have much faith.
totally just contradicted yourself.
I totally did. Where's the answer? Somewhere in the middle.
You could change your score to 2017.
Nah, that's
All right, 21-17. So I'm going to go. I'm going to keep it low too. I'm not in the 30s this week. Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game too. It shouldn't be. It should not be. But until this team proves that it can go out and blow a team out, I have to keep these scores tight.
I don't think the team's going to play mistake-free football. I think whoever has the turnover is going to lose.
Yeah,
and somebody's going to make.
I agree, and both teams love to turn the ball over. So. I'm going to go 23-20.
How much?
23-20.
Ooh. Last second.
We both have it close.
Down to the wire?
I think down to the wire, yeah. I think the Eagles might actually kick the field goal to win the game.
Come on, Jake. You've had like 3 attempts all season, so you're not quite warmed up yet.
Yeah, it's either going to be that. Either it's going to be a Jake late field goal to win it, or it's going to be the Giants are driving with a chance to win, and Jones fumbles the ball or throws a pick. And the Eagles will secure victory.
I'll tell you what, I want Quanyon Mitchell to grab his first interception this week since he got
robbed. That'd be great. It'd be great, especially if he does it covering neighbors.
Yeah, and run it back, baby. Run it back. Miracle in the Meadowlands. Maybe we get Meadowlands number 3.
He was so pissed at CJ. He was so pissed.
Yeah, and CJ didn't give him any smacks. He just like,
shit, no, I think CJ knew that he's like, you're right. Yeah, because CJ's never one to ever back down from someone talking to him.
No.
I think CJ knew that he just ruined the chance for the rookie to get his first NFL pick. But yeah, guys, talk back there. You know, a little center field call it type thing going on.
Yeah. All you. You know, say something.
Yeah, I got it. You know,
bow into him. Everyone was disappointed.
Yeah, it's like, but that happened. It's funny. It's ironic that happened to Mitchell, and then the week before against Tampa, when Cooper DeJean was just trying to field his first NFL punt return, and the guy throws him. That was CJ too, wasn't it? Oh no, that was
Rodgers.
That was Rodgers. Yeah, who somehow thought that was going to be okay. Oh yeah, I was trying to shove him into him.
Yeah, and now he's returning punts.
Yeah, now he's returning punts.
Yeah, they're like, how do you like it?
Man.
Yeah. Maybe Cooper DeJean gets a big play in there. Yeah, maybe he gets a sack fumble. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I mean, he's going to be a second straight start, and he played well in his debut, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ready to unleash Sidney Brown yet. They might be slowly bringing him back.
When they get him, though, those 3 guys, Mitchell, DeJean, and Brown, and CJ, that defensive secondary plays with confidence, and you can't have a non-confident secondary like we had for all those years. So they have building blocks, and now, like, even if the defense doesn't fully gel this season, just get the line fixed again. Maybe bring in some free agents to beef that up after BG retires. But the DBs are here. You know, even with Slay, if Slay decides to retire, we're solid. So.
You know, I'm hearing a rumor with the trade deadline coming up that the Eagles, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but that the Eagles are being linked to Crosby and the Raiders. That would be a guy.
I'd take Crosby.
A difference maker. Max Crosby.
Yeah. Trade Huff and Dean.
That guy's a beast, but I don't know if the Eagles could afford him.
He's a motor.
He is.
He is a motor.
Yeah, he's one of those nonstop guys, kind of like a what's the guy? Like a Watt, like JJ Watt. Kind of like him. By the way, the freaking Watt brothers, how ridiculously good are both of them?
No, it's crazy.
JJ was ridiculous.
Yeah,
and his brothers freaking might be even better than him.
Yeah, TJ is up there with the best of all time. Like all of TJ's stats are up there with Bruce Smith, Reggie White,
he's like on a pace with Reggie White. I know. It's crazy.
Yep. And
Yeah,
he didn't really have, Reggie, when he played with the Eagles, had Clyde and that Buddy Wright defense. Like TJ Watt has been it on the Steelers.
True, but Reggie also had a little bit later start of his career because he played in USFL. So he didn't start as young in the league.
True.
And then there was the strike shortened season where Reggie had 21 sacks in 12 games, which is still one of the most ridiculous stats ever. 12 games they struck after that and some season. But Reggie had 21 sacks in 12 games. That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, for these Eagle fans out there who never saw Reggie White play, I feel bad for you, but there's always YouTube. But to see him play live was something that unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Closing comments before we get going?
No,
we're just over an hour, so
we have one win. We need to string together 3 or 4 of these before we get our next loss. That's going to be important. We got to get on a winning streak.
We got the Giants, and then we play Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, do you see who's leading the NFL in passing rating?
Who is it, Burrow?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's having a great season. Who would have thought? His wrist is fixed and Jamar Chase is playing. So
yeah, I know.
That's trouble for the Eagles.
People were down on Burrow thinking, I think he's overrated. I'm like, dude, Joe Burrow's not overrated.
No.
He might be a little injury prone. He's not overrated.
No, if he's been playing against a patchwork line.
Yeah, he's never had a good offensive line. He's always running for his life.
Yeah, he is not. He's a real deal. He's about as Montana was.
Yeah, he is the second coming of Joe Cool. That's what they call him, Joe Cool. There.
Yeah,
and then so they play Cincinnati. They have a bunch of winnable games. I think Jacksonville maybe is coming up.
It's winnable. Winnable, but I don't know. That team can score 40 points a game.
Always gives the Eagles problems.
Yeah, for some reason they do. But we usually win them in the end. We usually win them, but Jacksonville's in a tough spot. And
yeah, they're in a must-win situation every week now.
Around by the way, props to Caleb Williams. He had a great game in London.
Yeah.
The fade throw that he threw to was it Allen? It was the touchdown in the corner route to Allen. That ball was perfectly placed. And for the first 3 or 4 weeks, Williams was missing all of those touch throws by a mile. So to watch him pull it all together for that game, I was like, ooh.
He was really good at USC, but we've said that about a lot of USC players.
Yeah.
Well, now we got 2. I mean, look at Donald, man. Donald, they're saying he might sign a $50 million contract now. And I'm like, man, I don't know. 1 year or half a year. But he is playing great. I mean, and I always liked Donald. I thought that he would definitely be a good pro. Just he was kind of like a prototypical NFL quarterback. He wasn't like Williams is, where Williams is more like a scatter, like a Jackson or even a Daniels type or a Hurts. So that's more like what Williams is.
Yeah.
But Donald was always your prototypical Matt Stafford type quarterback. And I always thought he was good. He just always had poise. He never rushed things in the pocket. He's doing that now. And again, he started with the Jets.
Better.
So, anyone who starts with the Jets is you almost give him the benefit of the doubt. But then he went to Carolina and didn't play well there either. It's good to see. It's good to see him doing well. And I was getting the updates from you because I wasn't home to watch the game. So you were giving me updates on Williams, what he was doing.
I watched.
That's the game. There's a couple games I want to rewatch this week because I still haven't watched Jaden play much.
Daniels.
I've seen that one game on the Monday night, and he was ridiculous. So I want to rewatch I want to watch the Redskin game, just kind of bits and pieces of it, and the Williams game I want to watch here before this week. So, but yeah, it's good to see. I mean, I'm a huge anyone that comes out of USC, I'm a fan of.
Yeah,
St. Brown is the wide receivers are always usually pretty good in the pros. St. Brown is one of the best in the league, and a lot of guys. Mike Williams, although Mike Williams had some bad.
That was a weird drop that he had in that last play in the Jets.
Yeah, he fell down and then he dropped. I don't know. It was weird. But they don't even need him now. I wonder if he's going to be trade material because now
he's already on the block, I think, after they traded for Adams.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no need to have Mike Williams there now, so maybe he'll go to some team.
Right? So, I mean, if you're looking at Lazard, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams,
that's good. And Aaron Rodgers throwing it to him.
Yeah, and you still got
running back good too. Hall is there. I mean, that team is, like I
loaded.
said, I keep saying this. If the Jets get in, I don't know if they will, but if they get into the playoffs, no team is going to want to play the Jets.
They're going to be pissed off, and they're going to be.
No team's going to want to play that team because they have a good defense. They have a really good defense at times. Really good.
Yeah. I almost
and they have an offense that now with Devontae Adams, holy shit.
I think I would just, if I were the Jets coaches, I would just step back and be like, Aaron, it's your offense. Just call whatever you want to call. It's yours.
Yeah, they don't have a coach anyway.
No. So just step out. They
like,
demoted Hackett, so I don't even know who's calling plays on the offensive side. But
that is a weird situation. That's probably what would be the downfall of the Jets because they don't have a coach. I mean, they have nobody. That's a good pitch to make. I mean, he's probably the only quarterback in the NFL in my entire career watching the league, other than maybe Joe Montana, but Peyton Manning and like Aaron Rodgers, they could run their own offense on the field. Peyton Manning did it all the time.
Running that team anyways. So what's it matter if you let him call
pretty much running that team? I know.
Yeah.
Like, they all came after him like, hey, did you get the coach fired? He's like, dude, I had nothing to do with the coach being fired.
He lied right through his teeth, man.
Like, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
I think that's I think Aaron Rodgers just flat out lied to everybody. Like in his head, he's like, yeah, of course I did, because we were doing shit. So
that's true.
I think they should just let Aaron Rodgers loose and let the team win or lose based on him.
I mean, you remember Peyton Manning, right? He would come to the line. They would have an initial play, and he would change the call almost every time. Almost every time he went to the line of scrimmage, those of you who didn't watch Peyton Manning, he would come to the line and call his own plays with hand signals.
Yeah.
He'd be like, doing this. He'd take a look at the defense and be doing all this for about the next 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And he'd call his own play.
Brady, Manning, and Rodgers all have the capability of, they've seen so much, they know this is, let them go. Like, don't get in his way. Don't try to outsmart shit.
They should do.
Just like the Eagles, you've got the talent to win almost every play. So if you're going to win 7 out of 10 plays every drive, guess what? You're scoring a touchdown or scoring points. So just get out of the way. Let these guys play football. You know, watch Devontae Adams with no practice, no game.
I bet you him and Rodgers will be right in sync. I mean, I don't think they're going to take any time.
They are whoever have in fantasy, whoever's got Devontae Adams, do not waste starting them. They're going to be back shoulder throws and stop and goes, and they're going to screw. Adams might have 2 touchdowns and 130 yards.
I mean, he's a great receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the league for sure.
And he's fresh.
And now he's back with his quarterback again.
Yeah, there ain't no hamstring injury. Just don't even buy it for a second. Yeah.
All right. Closing thoughts, and then go Birds. Let's get another win. You got to beat the freaking Giants, man.
You have to, because you might lose against the Bengals. You got to win 2 more after that. So got to win this game.
Yeah, you got to win these NFC games, especially the divisional games. Got to win them. I mean, this is a division now that the Dallas is having all kinds of problems. But I can't even, like, I was saying this also, I couldn't even enjoy the Sunday night beating because it was so just like freaking, I'm like, if the Eagles played Detroit that night, they would have got freaking ass kicked. So there's no doubt in my mind, Detroit would have put a freaking 40 burger on them, on the Eagles too. That Detroit team is really good. Now, that's a huge loss, though, with Hutchinson. You know, that's a big loss for them.
You know, I think Dan Campbell spoke today about it, and you could tell he was talking about career, not just season. He's like, it's.
Oh, they are? Is that bad?
He said it's 6 to 8 months recovery, or 4 to 6 months recovery, I think is what he said. And so I'm like, well, 4 months, that's, you know, we're past the football season. So he's not talking about getting back.
True. I mean, plus he may still come back, but that might be one of those injuries that you're just never the same player.
You look at anybody that's suffered that type of injury, they've never come back. Theismann.
That's so sad because that dude.
Crumry in the Super Bowl.
Crumry. I remember watching that one. His leg just waving and he
wobble. I mean, it's the same type of thing. Like
Theismann, his bone went right through his sock.
Yeah, and it was just as bad. Like, did you see the play?
I heard about it, and then I saw a doctor talking about it. They put it on, and I'm like, I kind of was like, nah, I don't really want to.
No,
I don't really want to look at it.
It broke on.
I heard it was really bad.
Laying back, it's just kind of dangling in the air, and you're just like.
So it was dangling?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was like a Tim Crumry?
Prescott, he had the sack, and Prescott's falling back on him, and his leg is like in between them. It's already snapped in half, and Prescott's about to fall on him. He's just like, oh my God, no. Like,
Oh, you mean so Prescott even knew that he was injured as he was falling down?
Prescott didn't know, but Aiden Hutchins is on his back, and
Oh,
Prescott's
Agent Hutchins is saying,
and he's trying to sashay him away to just have him not fall on his leg. It was brutal. One of the more brutal injuries I've ever seen. And so
were you watching it live when it happened?
yeah. So it's
I wasn't watching it live. I was seeing it, but like when you know something's gruesome, I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't really. One day I'll watch it when I'm just in the mood and I don't, But at that time I was like, nah, I don't really want to see somebody's leg being fractured because I knew it was really bad. I knew it was seriously bad. But yeah, I mean, just feel bad for the guy because it's been a great year. He had like 7 or 8 sacks. He was leading the league.
Alex Smith is the other player I was thinking about.
He had a really bad one.
He did. What's amazing is Alex Smith did come back, and he had all the infection stuff.
Yeah, and they almost had to amputate his leg.
Yeah, so if Smith can come back, Hutchinson can come back, but Hutchinson's a big dude, like.
Well, again, there's position that he plays too, where you get a lot of leverage and bend,
a lot of pressure on that bone.
So it sucks because I think Detroit probably is. Detroit, I think, probably is the best team in the league.
Yeah, I would say so. Them and Baltimore. I think the Ravens are.
Yeah, the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the AFC best team. Like in Kansas City, I mean, they always have Mahomes factor, but they haven't done anything. Like I don't watch them and I'm like, this team's. I don't know how they're even 5-0. Honestly,
they're a little off. They're like the Eagles of last year. We were 10-0, and it's like
that's true. They were never really winning impressively. They were just winning enough to get by.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
A couple flags go the wrong way, and Kansas City is like 3.
They always get the flags.
Yeah,
it's insane the flags that team gets.
It is quite.
The Raiders game earlier this year when a guy was totally being mugged.
Yeah,
and they didn't call pass interference. I'm like, it
was the Falcons game. I thought
was the Falcons.
Yeah,
in the end zone. That's right, it was the Falcons game. Yeah. I mean, it was the Pitts, right? Wasn't it Pitts in the end zone?
It was either Pitts or the guy that or Mooney. Maybe been Pitts. I think it was Pitts. He's getting tackled. You're like,
yeah, guy's probably tackling Pitts and he doesn't get a penalty. Come on.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's get a little luck. If the Eagles have 2 turnover-free games in a row, I'm happy. And then I just hope we get a win out of it.
So let me ask you this. Post-game on Sunday, you going to be around to jump on? Or, I mean, I'll send you the link. You can join. Or we'll just see you in about a week or so.
Yeah, probably.
Either way, I'll shoot you the link.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt will be able to join us for the post-game. But make sure you join us for the post-game after the Eagles beat the Giants on Sunday. Thanks again, Matt, for joining as always. Appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe, leave comments. Do you agree with what we said? Do you not? Do you have other things that just add to the program? You have questions? Put them down there and we'll answer them on our next podcast. All right. Until then, go Birds, fly Eagles fly, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, everybody.